When my 6-year-old daughter got hit by a bike, my parents rushed towards my niece and said, "Are you hurt?" and slapped my daughter, saying, "Are you blind? Can't you see her?" I confronted them, saying, "She purposely hit my daughter." When I tried to call the ambulance, my father snatched the phone from my hand and slammed it on the floor, saying, "Let her die. She just ruined my precious granddaughter's ride." Sister agreed. Finally, someone's setting priorities, right? While everyone checked on my niece and took her away, my daughter was left bleeding on the ground. Weeks later, they were on their knees begging me for mercy. The sound of my phone shattering against concrete still echoes in my nightmares. But what came before that moment was infinitely worse. My name is Kara Whitfield, and I'm a single mother to the most beautiful 6-year-old girl in the world. Her name is Sadie, with big hazel eyes that sparkle when she laughs. She loves butterflies, strawberry ice cream, and drawing pictures of our little family, just the two of us, holding hands under a smiling sun. Sadie's father, Colton, died in a construction accident when she was 2. We'd been high school sweethearts. Losing him cracked my life wide open, and the only way I survived was by pouring everything into being Sadie's mom. She became my reason to wake up when grief tried to swallow me whole. My family never really understood. My older sister, Marla, was the golden child. She married Grant, a corporate lawyer, and they lived in a pristine suburban McMansion. Their daughter, my niece, Kinsey, 9 years old and spoiled since birth, was the sun around which my parents, Harold and Maureen, revolved. In their eyes, everything Marla did was perfect. Meanwhile, I was the quiet disappointment, modest apartment, shift work as a pediatric nurse, no glossy status updates at family dinners. Still, they were family. Sadie deserved her grandparents, her aunt, her cousin, so I kept showing up to birthdays, holidays, and Sunday cookouts, bracing for the subtle digs and obvious favoritism, telling myself that love meant trying. That late June Sunday looked perfect. The sky was clear, a warm breeze rustled my mother's flower beds, and the yard smelled like fresh-cut grass. My father manned the grill, beer in hand. My mother rearranged the picnic table as if it were a magazine shoot. Marla lounged, scrolling her phone. Grant talked shop with my dad. Kinsey rode her brand-new bike in wide circles, showing off every lap. Sadie, eager, ran to her cousin. "Kinsey, your bike is so pretty." Kinsey barely glanced over. "It's a limited edition. Grandpa bought it because I got straight A's." She flashed a look I knew too well, superiority with a bow on top. Marla's small, satisfied smile followed like a shadow. Inside, while I prepped sides with my mother, she noted how tired I looked and how, "It's such a shame, Sadie didn't have a father figure." I kept my mouth shut, counting breaths, death by 1,000 tiny cuts. Outside, Kinsey skidded and carved arcs in the lawn like she was training for the X Games. My father applauded. Sadie tried to keep up, then drifted to the shade of the big maple, drawing roads and butterflies in the dirt with a stick, making her own world where no one cut her off. "After we eat, ice cream, just us?" I whispered when I joined her. Her face brightened. "Strawberry with rainbow sprinkles?" "Absolutely." Dinner passed in boasting. Grant's promotion, my parents' cruise, Kinsey's theater role. Sadie tugged my sleeve to show me a ladybug on her napkin, a cloud shaped like a bunny. I leaned all the way in. If no one else would meet her where she was, I would. Afterward, Sadie asked to see the flowers up close. She tiptoed between petals like they might bruise under her gaze. Kinsey mounted the bike again, patterns growing more erratic. Twice she arrowed toward the garden, swerving at the last second, a spring wound tight inside my chest. Then came the sound I'll never forget, a dull, sickening thud. Sadie folded to the ground. Kinsey's wheel stopped inches from her small body. Sadie's scream ripped the afternoon open. Blood ran from a gash on her forehead. Her left arm was bent wrong. I ran. My parents reached the scene first. For a blink, I felt relief. Help was here, until they blew past Sadie and rushed to Kinsey. "Are you hurt?" my mother gasped, fingers fluttering over Kinsey's shoulders. My father stooped to inspect the bicycle frame. Kinsey stared, dry-eyed, calculating. I knew then it hadn't been an accident. I dropped to my knees. The head wound bled fast. The arm was broken. Sadie trembled, edging toward shock. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here." I grabbed my phone for 911. My mother's voice snapped like a whip. "This is your fault, Sadie. Are you blind? Can't you see her?" She crossed to us and slapped my injured child. Something inside me shattered. I stood between them. "What is wrong with you?" "She's hurt." Kinsey aimed for her. I saw it. Marla arrived, anger slick and easy. "How dare you accuse Kinsey? Your brat got in the way." "She was standing by the flowers," I said, shaking. Kinsey aimed straight at her. My father's face darkened. "You're hysterical. Accidents happen. Stop blaming Kinsey for your daughter's clumsiness." I dialed. He snatched the phone, lifted it high, and hurled it onto the concrete. Glass and plastic skittered. "Let her die," he said, cold. "She ruined my precious granddaughter's ride." Time stopped. Poison hung in the air. Marla actually laughed. Finally, someone setting priorities right. They circled Kinsey and shepherded her toward the house. No one looked back. Sadie lay bleeding into the grass. "Please," I called, voice breaking. "Help me get her to the hospital." My father didn't turn around. "Figure it out yourself. You always do." The door closed. I pressed my cardigan to the wound and lifted Sadie carefully. She whimpered. I kept moving. "Stay with me, sweetheart. Stay with Mommy." We reached the front. My car was blocked by Marla's SUV and my father's truck. The neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Calloway, were watering their roses. "Help!" I screamed. "Please!" Mrs. Calloway dropped the hose. "Walter, call 911. They ran to us." He dialed. She fetched towels to staunch the bleeding. I held Sadie and prayed. The ambulance took 10 minutes. Felt like a lifetime. Paramedics stabilized her and whisked her into the rig. Mrs. Calloway drove me behind them so I could stay with my daughter. As we pulled away, I saw my family through the window, fawning over Kinsey as if the world outside didn't exist. At the hospital, light and urgency swallowed us. 17 stitches for the head wound, pins for the arm, severe concussion, observation for swelling. "If you'd waited even 30 minutes longer," the doctor said, "the consequences could have been catastrophic." I didn't leave Sadie's side for 3 days. I slept in a chair, sang when she woke up scared, whispered butterflies and rainbow sprinkles until her breathing softened. My family never called, never texted, never asked if she was alive. Mrs. Calloway, a near stranger, brought clean clothes, coloring books, and soup, showing up with a steadiness I'd never felt from my own blood. When we finally went home, Sadie wore a bright pink cast speckled with stickers. The deductible gutted my savings. The silence from my parents was louder than any siren. A week later, one text from Marla. "Mom's birthday dinner next Saturday at 6. Don't be late." Nothing about Sadie. I didn't respond. 2 days after, a voicemail from my mother, scolding me about family being important. Sadie started crossing the street at the sight of a bicycle. Nightmares woke her nightly. "Why did Grandma hit me?" she asked, small and serious. I had no gentle answer, only a dawning certainty curling tight in my chest. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't favoritism gone too far. It was abuse, and I would have to choose what came next. 2 weeks after the accident, Sadie's nightmares worsened. She woke crying, whispering that Grandma was mad at her. Each morning I reassured her, but the truth sat like a weight. My family had crossed a line we could never return from. Dr. Elaine Chen, the child psychologist at the hospital, suggested trauma counseling. She met Sadie with crayons and patience, helping her draw feelings she couldn't say. After one session, Dr. Chen pulled me aside. "Kara, what you described, the injury, the refusal to help, your mother's slap, that's not family tension, it's abuse. You have every right to report it." The word abuse rang in my head for days. It wasn't that I didn't believe her. I did. But accepting it meant admitting my parents never loved us the way we loved them. That night, after Sadie finally drifted off, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote down everything: the bike, the blood, the slap, the smashed phone, every cruel word. I took photos of the medical records, the bills, even my mother's voicemail. Then I called a lawyer recommended by Mrs. Calloway's son, a woman named Patricia Wynne. Patricia listened without interrupting, face growing grimmer by the minute. When I finished, she said quietly, "This isn't civil, it's criminal. Child endangerment, assault, willful neglect. I'm not looking for revenge," I whispered. "I just want Sadie safe." Patricia leaned forward. "Then we start with a restraining order. No contact. We'll file with the court this week." She moved fast. Within days, I was standing before a judge describing the unthinkable. The evidence, the photos, medical files, witness statements, spoke louder than I could. The judge granted an emergency restraining order. My parents, Marla, Grant, and Kinsey, were barred from coming within 500 feet of Sadie or me. 2 weeks later, police knocked on my apartment door to take formal statements. Detective Harris, calm and kind, photographed Sadie's healing injuries and explained there was probable cause for arrest. I nodded, numb. When my father was taken from his office in handcuffs, it made the local paper. My mother was served papers at home. Marla got hers at Kinsey's school pickup. My phone exploded with messages. "Marla, how could you do this to your own family? Mom, ungrateful child. You've ruined us, Dad. I'll lose my job over this nonsense." I blocked every number. Patricia warned me, "Don't engage," but they didn't stop. Marla came to my building, screaming from the parking lot until security called the cops. She was arrested for violating the order. Then came the relatives, my aunts, uncles, flying monkeys, as Patricia called them, pleading forgiveness, blaming me for tearing the family apart over an accident. I blocked them too. Through it all, Sadie slowly healed. Her pink cast became her badge of bravery, covered in stickers and doodles. Physical therapy rebuilt her arm. Laughter began to return. Mrs. Calloway became our anchor, showing up with cookies, sitting with Sadie during storms, loving her the way a grandmother should. 6 months later, the criminal case went to court. "Justice moves slowly," Patricia said, "but it moves." My father faced charges of child endangerment and destruction of property. My mother was charged with assault. Marla was cited for violating the restraining order, and Grant, as a licensed lawyer, risked disciplinary action for failing to aid a child in danger. Their high-priced attorney tried painting me as vindictive, but the medical reports, the paramedics' testimony, and the Calloway's witness statements dismantled their story. The defense caved, offering a plea. They would admit guilt, pay restitution, complete anger management courses, and serve probation, no jail time if I accepted. Patricia turned to me. "It's your choice, Kara. Trial means reliving everything in public. Plea means closure." Now I thought about Sadie, how far she'd come, how she still flinched at loud voices. "I just want it over," I said. "I want them gone." Before the plea hearing, Patricia handed me a letter. "From your mother," she said. Inside were pages of half apologies, how she'd been stressed, how she didn't mean it, how she loved Sadie and wanted another chance. There was no real remorse, just excuses wrapped in guilt. I fed the letter through my shredder and watched the paper turn to ribbons. The holidays arrived like ghosts. Thanksgiving, Christmas. For the first time, there were no invitations, no fights, no cold smiles, just quiet. Sadie and I baked cookies with Mrs. Calloway and watched snowflakes gather on the window. "Mommy," she said one night, "are we still a family if it's just us?" I hugged her close. "The best kind of family, sweetheart, the kind that loves you right." Work became my refuge. My co-workers at the hospital knew something had happened, whispering when they thought I couldn't hear. Finally, my supervisor, Linda Martinez, sat me down. "Kara, I don't know the details, but if you need help," extra shifts, time off, anything. You tell me. Her kindness cracked me open more than cruelty ever had. Later, Marcus, the hospital social worker, found me by my locker. He handed me pamphlets for victim assistance programs and funds that covered therapy for employees' families. You spend your days caring for everyone else's kids, he said. Let us help take care of yours. Accepting help felt strange after years of doing it all alone, but I said yes. The grant covered Sadie's counseling sessions. For the first time since that awful day, I felt like we were climbing out of the dark. The plea hearing came on a cold Friday morning, 6 months after everything began. Patricia told me I didn't have to go, but I needed to. I wanted them to see I wasn't broken. Mrs. Calloway stayed with Sadie while I dressed in my best blouse and slacks. They hung loose now, but I stood tall. I was done hiding. The courthouse was cold and sterile. I sat beside Patricia, staring straight ahead as the doors opened. My parents shuffled in first, older, smaller. My mother's eyes were red. My father's face had aged a decade. Marla followed, jaw clenched, fury still living where shame should have been. Grant walked behind her, head down. The judge reviewed the plea. He asked if they understood the terms, if they accepted guilt. They nodded. It should have ended there. But then my father raised his hand. Your Honor, may I speak to my daughter? The judge looked at me. Patricia whispered, You don't have to. But I nodded. Let him. My father turned. Kara, he said, voice trembling. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Sadie's my granddaughter. I failed her. I failed you. Please, let us make it right. My mother clutched his arm, sobbing. We love you, sweetheart. We love Sadie. Please, give us a chance. Even Marla's voice cracked. I'm sorry, Kara. I should have stopped them. I should have helped for a second. The courtroom was quiet, except for their tears. Once, that sound would have broken me. Now, it just felt empty, like rain hitting pavement long after the storm is gone. I stood. Patricia's hand brushed my arm, but I needed to say this. You want mercy? I said, my voice steady. Sadie begged for mercy while she bled in your yard. She begged for help while you all walked away. She was 6 years old, and you told her to die because she ruined your favorite child's ride. My mother sobbed harder. We didn't mean. You absolutely meant it, I said sharply. You meant every word, every action. Do you know what Sadie asked me last week? She asked if Grandma hated her because she wasn't good enough. My 6-year-old thinks she deserved to be hit and abandoned. That's what you did. Marla's face crumpled. Please, Kara. No, I whispered. You don't get to say my name. You laughed while my daughter screamed. You said, finally, someone setting priorities right. Well, I'm setting mine. My priority is Sadie. It always was. I turned to the judge. Your Honor, I want the restraining order made permanent. No letters, no calls, no visits. Ever. They're not family. Family doesn't do what they did. The judge's expression hardened. So ordered. Any contact will result in immediate arrest and incarceration. Do you understand? They nodded, broken, defeated. As I left, I heard my mother crying my name. I didn't look back. There was nothing behind me worth looking at. Patricia walked me to the car. You did good in there, she said softly. That took courage. I should have protected Sadie sooner, I whispered. You can't blame yourself for hoping your family would be better, Patricia said. You're protecting her now. That's what matters. When I got home, Sadie was sitting on the floor with Mrs. Calloway, cutting paper butterflies. When she saw me, she grinned. Mommy, look what we made. This one's the Rainbow Queen. I scooped her into my arms, careful of her still healing arm. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Just like you. That night, after Sadie fell asleep, I sat on our small balcony and looked at the stars. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. We weren't rich. The bills still waited, but we were safe. We were free. Months passed. Mrs. Calloway became part of our lives, a real grandmother figure. She baked with Sadie, read stories, taught her how to garden. She never judged. She never asked for anything. She just loved. Then one afternoon at the park, Sadie was on the swings, laughing again. A little boy asked if she wanted to play tag, and she said yes, without hesitation. Her laughter echoed through the air, light and fearless. My phone buzzed. An email from Patricia. Subject, final settlement, medical restitution received. Inside, all medical costs fully covered. It wouldn't erase the pain, but it meant closure, real closure. I looked up at Sadie, racing across the grass with that boy, giggling as they searched for four-leaf clovers. She was whole again, stronger than I'd ever imagined. That was my victory. Not the court win, not the money, but the fact that after everything, after cruelty, betrayal, and loss, Sadie still believed in butterflies and rainbow sprinkles. They hadn't broken her. Later that evening, we got ice cream. Strawberry with rainbow sprinkles, just like the day I promised. We sat outside as the sun dipped low, painting everything gold. "Mommy," she said, "Mrs. Calloway's teaching me to make my own ice cream next week." I smiled. "What flavor are you going to make?" "Butterfly flavor," she said proudly. "All colors mixed together like wings." I laughed, really laughed. "That sounds perfect, baby girl." She looked up at me. "I love you, Mommy." "I love you too, Sadie." More than all the butterflies in the world. We walked home hand in hand. Our little apartment glowed in the evening light. Small, simple, safe, no shouting voices, no judgment, no fear, just peace. Sometimes I wonder if my parents ever think about Sadie, if they regret it. Mostly, I don't think about them at all. They made their choices that day in the backyard. They chose cruelty over compassion, pride over love. I made mine too. I chose Sadie, and I'd choose her again 1,000 times over. They wanted mercy. They got justice. Sadie and I, we got freedom.